Alright, we'll go back to the same diagram. The only thing I have done is I have rechanged the color. If I do Control Z, I think it will come back. Yeah, it has. So it was like this. I changed it back to, okay. So I'm not changing. So it's I just made it white. Okay, that's the only thing I did. Okay. So one of the other things that you need to know is about, just to handle a similar kind of questions, is how do you go about making the convert the requirements into the design. You have to make a transition from this phase to this phase. Okay. So you have in this whole process, okay, in this whole process, this requirement gathering phase, it consists of BRD, these are the three main components of three main deliverables of this phase. So this is what pretty much a business analyst does also, because you're a business analyst, you should know that these are the things that a business analyst does
in a requirement gathering phase.
In the requirement gathering phase.
Okay, what are those three things? BRD, functional, what's that? The second thing? What's that?
BRD, functional requirement in an Excel, and gap analysis. Third one is FDD. These are the three things he delivers. These are the three deliverables. Okay. When somebody asks you, what are the various deliverables of the requirement gathering? These are the ones. When somebody asks you, how do you gather requirements? You speak about all the things that I have already covered, plus these things. You must cover these things also. Now as part of BRD, I need to go over a BRD. I'll go over a BRD now. I'm going over the BRD main things. This is the template she has exposure to, so we need to go over this BRD very quickly. Okay. Overview, goals and objectives, methodology. Methodology, I don't know, I'm just saying what are the methodology for gathering business requirements, which is pretty much same as gathering requirements. Okay. My methodology is, we first, okay, just remember, we are talking about everything. If somebody can ask you how do you gather requirements, you have to capture first the thing that we already covered in the morning in the other video. Then we have to cover this also that I'm talking now. This is a very important aspect of gathering requirements and how you go about transitioning requirements, into the developers. Okay, so the various components of BRD are, it has listed in it all the business requirements in a tabular manner. These are the business requirements in a tabular manner. It has all the business rules listed in a it has all, for every requirement there is a description, what this requirement stands for. It has all the business entities mentioned in it. Main thing is business rules. It has all the data attributes which are required, not requirements, which are supposed to be in this thing. These are not required fields, but these are supposed to be there. See, it is. I'm not trying. So these are the basically data requirements. It is all the roles and responsibilities, who will be accessing, who will be doing these functions. Main thing is, it will be having a current and future process flow. Okay. This current and the future process flows are the key. So you need to mention that. It will also mention the reports that need to be generated as part of this process. So the methodology that I follow is, I get the process document, and if there is not one, then I make one. Okay, so process document is really nothing but we need to have a process diagram basically. Okay. Once we have the process, clear definition of the process, we can go about taking the business requirements out of it. Then we can have a session with the users, making sure we know all the business requirements. This thing, as part of the business requirements, I'll be very clear about what are the various requirements, what are the rules, what are the entities, what are the various organizations involved. in the business in all the requirements, I will be also very sure about the current and the future process flow. Once I have all this material, I will be in a very good shape to talk with the users, come out with my questions, get my questions clarified, and go to the next phase, sub phase within requirement gathering, called as functional requirements in an Excel sheet and a gap analysis. At that point, I will produce a sheet, Excel sheet, which will be having all the business requirements in a tabular fashion, with all the business importance of each and every requirement, then the corresponding functional requirements. This is very interesting point. For every business requirement, there will be one or more functional requirements. For every business, then I will give the detailed description of the way the system will function. The difference between BRD, business requirements, and functional requirements is that in business requirements, Siebel is not in the picture. You do not say anything about the Siebel. You just mention what business wants. In functional requirements, you say that how will the users interact with Siebel to get those, to accomplish those business requirements. So you mention the functional requirements at the Siebel level. You know, they will click on this screen. There will be a screen available. In business requirement, you won't say screen. In business requirement, you will say there will be a module available. The system will be available. System will let them see this thing. Things like that. Okay. Then this is a very important Excel sheet. Again, I mentioned for every business requirement, I will be like coming out with different functional requirements for every business requirement. Then I will go to the next step. I will come up with a solution approach for every functional requirement. It will be high-level solution approach. I'm not a developer. I won't be able to really get to the nitty-gritty of the code, but as a functional person, I have, as a Siebel business analyst. I'm not a business analyst. I'm a Siebel business analyst. So I know how to kind of approach a solution, how to kind of come up with an approach to provide a solution for a particular functional requirement. Okay. For every requirement, I will provide a gap description. Okay, and I will establish the gap level. This gap level is is in accordance with this definition. This is a very simple definition. She's not going to ask you this thing, so I won't go over it now. But we need to get out with the gap level definition. For example, 1 is for the rudimentary, 7 is for the highly complex. Just say like that, that will be fine. Okay. Then you come up with the gap description. Gap description means vanilla Siebel, how it should be tweaked in order to meet this functional requirement. Okay. For example, if a new field has to be added, then your gap description should be, this requires a new field to be added to this applet, and the gap level is whatever. Okay. So this is the gap analysis. So this is the gap analysis sheet from us. Making sense, sir?
Yeah. And she does have that.
We will come to a stage where we need to provide the functional design document. See, I have a very good functional design document, a template, and I'll be using that, and I will be providing the design for each and every feature in Siebel, each and every functional requirement. Okay, this is how I will go about that. This is how a business design will look like. It will be having various sections for the business rules, for the PDQs that I'm making. These PDQs are directly coming from some of the gap analysis here. Okay. These rules are coming directly from this business rules and this thing here. Okay. These rules, before these rules, this requirement, this detailed functional description is coming directly from here. Okay, boss. So there is a link between this document and the other document that I'm showing you, and this document. When you come here, main thing is it will be having mockups. Can you look at the mockup, please? It will be having fields. These are all Siebel. We make it in Visio, but they are exactly like Siebel. It has the fields, how the exact thing will look like. So we make these mockups I make these mockups. You have to say that I make these mockups in which each and every field, the rules for every field. Then we have the list of all the rules that will go with it. Whether it is a PDQ, whether it is an LOV, whether it's a text box, whether it's an active display or not, everything that goes with it.
How do you spell mockups? M-O-C-U-P-S?
M-O-C-K up. Mock up.
Okay.
Okay. So for every field I will provide the mockup. Once this thing is ready, I can submit it to the developers. Okay, boss?
Okay.
As you can see, It has all the fields listed. It has all the, whether it's a list applet, what is the order here, whether it is a required field or not, whether it has a pre-default value, whether it's a read-only field or it's a, okay, whether it is a, what is the type of the field. So all these things you have to mention actually. Okay.
Okay.
Once you submit this FDD to developer, your job as a BA is pretty much done. So this is your whole thing about gathering requirements. Whatever you want, you can pick the points and say it from here.
Okay.
Okay. I have just captured the name of the fields here. BR number. Okay, BR business requirement, business requirement description, function requirement number, function requirement itself, the description, solution approach, gap level, and gap description. Okay, boss?
Okay.
Each and every point is mentioned now. Let's mention the BRD points as well. Does it sound fair?
Yes.
I'm putting all the points here. Current and future process flow,
Okay.
business requirements, business rules, business policies, business orgs, business entities. Let's see if there is any other point that we need to mention here. Business data requirements, okay? That's very important. Because if they don't give you the what are the data that they need here, then you cannot write it, right? So you cannot write the function requirement and everything. Let's see if there is any other point. There are other small things also. We'll not do this business use case. I'll tell you later why we don't need to use that. Security requirements and access requirements. Okay, so these are the various things which will be capturing as part of BRD. Okay. And just for ease of reading there, I'm putting it here. Just for ease of reading. Okay, I'm gonna put it here. Okay. I have another idea, वैसे तो. I have very good idea actually. Give me 1 second. Okay, I've just written it like this. So this is related to BRD. Okay. So that there is no confusion now. This is related to the BRD. This is related to function requirement. This is related to FDD. Okay, boss.
Okay.
These are the various things about BRD. These are the things about function requirement and gap analysis Excel sheet. By the way, as you know, this is a Word document, and as you know, this is in the Excel, this is in the function design, right? Making sense now?
So we have business requirements first of current and future process flow. Okay. So we have business requirements.
Business organizations or departments, same thing. I'm just trying to say what are the different departments which are involved in this process. So I'm getting requirement from all of them, right? So I've just said the name of all the departments which are involved. Okay. We are not calling them attributes. We are calling them fields. What are the fields? Okay. Type of fields. Okay. Of course, we have to, and the header section we are putting which function requirement does it correspond to, right?
Okay.
Right. So that portion I'm not covering, but that is there. Okay. We are mentioning the exact mockup, all the rules.
Okay.
Okay. Is it right?
Okay. Fields,
which
type
screen?
of fields, then which screen I can read that.
You ready now?
Which screen will and applet will
This be a part of,
Okay.
right?
Okay. What's PDQ?
Oh, you don't know what is PDQ? Predefined queries.
Oh, okay. Predefined.
Right?
Yeah.
Now all this. Required field or not. Okay, boss?
Okay.
What are other things? Length, list of values or default values. Okay?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
इतना बोल दोगे बहुत है, but there are other things also which go. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Okay, these are the important points that we just discussed regarding FDD. What are the various fields? What are the type of fields? You know, which screen view, and after this, will these be a part of what are the PDQs there in that view? What are the required fields? What are the read-only fields? What are the validation rules on fields? Length of fields, LOVs, and default values.
Okay.
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 So need to now speak about all these things, Mr. Amir. ये बड़ी important चीज़ है. This is my complete deliverable about gathering requirements. Somebody asks you, what are the duties of a BA? What are the various deliverables? Let's enter various questions here. Okay? Okay? Deliverables in rec gathering. Making sense? Anything. All these questions, duties of a BA. What are the duties of a BA? What was your role in previous projects? But if you have to say the role, let's talk about it. If you have to say the role, you will not be saying, I will make sure that PDQ was there, I did make sure that the required fields were there. You will say at a high level then. You will say, I made sure that the function requirement document was delivered, I made sure that the function requirements and the gap analysis was delivered, I made sure that the FDD was delivered. My FDDs and everything were very detailed, and I had to make sure that each and every detail was captured. Saying this thing should suffice. Because we are saying the duties of a BA, we are not giving the deliverables, ideas, what are the description of the deliverables. You see my point? Similarly, as a duty of the BA, you should make sure, he said, you know what, I was involved in planning, that was one of the important things. My whole duty was to conduct the meetings properly and make sure that all the post-meeting stuff or all the post-meeting tasks are carried out. You see my point? So you need to speak, you'll be speaking from here most of the time, but you need to speak wisely. Yeah, I mean, you cannot just start going over every description just for any simple thing.
Yes. Okay.
Okay? So
okay, what about the deliverables?
Deliverables, these you have to speak in detail.
So if we're talking about deliverables, then I will not talk about the BRD first, then gap analysis second, then FTD third, but I will explain all of them.
All these points also.
Yes.
I will explain all these points also. Correct. What is the methodology? In the methodology, you can touch this little bit, and you can touch this, this and this. Don't go into these details. So basically, inner details, as you can see, is these are all descriptions, right? Outside things are the descriptions, right?
Yes.
Same thing.
Okay.
Okay. How do you ensure requirements are gathered properly? Oh, dude. You know, same thing, methodology. You have to prove the soundness of your methodology. You can go over at this, and just again touch this. Don't go into this.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Trust me, subject does not matter much. What matters is your spontaneity, your ability to speak clearly and slowly and comprehensibly is very important. This is what you need to keep in mind. Okay, boss?